What's up, y'all? It's your boy eBay Fight Predictions in the building. I'll be doing I think a special video. I did one last year. You can probably find it, but it was like I don't know. It was different. It was a different video. But this year I'm doing the UFC 2020 awards. I kind of came up with some awards and I'm gonna be talking about them. I'll go down the list of things. But yeah, let's get it started. Most improved fighter of the year. I think this is an awesome thing. And you kind of look at fighters. It's kind of hard to find guys that really have improved. But I found four really good candidates to pick from. But yeah, let's start off number 4, Calvin Kattar, the first nominee. I thought Calvin's year, starting off 2019. I think he knocked out Ricardo Lamas and then lost his Zabit, right? So we saw the potential in Calvin Kattar. We saw how good he can be, right? I know a lot of people dub him as having the best boxing in the UFC in terms of MMA fighters, right? And you look at that team, Rob Font, I think that's right. I think Kyle Bochnak trains out of there. They're just scrappers, right? And they're tough as fuck. And seeing what he did to Jeremy Stevens, who else? Dan Ige, and then now getting scheduled to fight Max Holloway, and basically for him it's a number 1 contender fight. Max, I don't know what a win does for him against Kattar. I think he just keeps him in his spot. He just maintains his spot. But it is what it is. Kattar's really improved. Next up, Glover Teixeira, the myth, man, the legend, the GOAT. Glover wasn't really coming off losses, really. But you look at 2019, and you could even say he was in contention for most improved, right? What he did that year from 2019 to 2020, you go look at his opponents, right? Carl Robertson, Ian Cutelaba, and Nikita Krylov. I don't like Anthony Smith, and I like Thiago Santos, right? So I'll say that. But people like Anthony Smith, and with all due respect to Anthony Smith, he had a really elevated ranking. So did Thiago Santos. And I feel like if Anthony Smith fought any of those 3 guys that I just named, Carl Robertson, Ian Cutelaba, and Nikita Krylov, I think people would pick Anthony Smith and Thiago Santos over those guys, right? And you looked how it was hard, man. It was in fights with those guys. Even Carl Robertson, even though I know he finished him, I think was it the first? I think it was the first. I think it was the first round submission. He got hurt with elbows, man. It was dangerous. I thought he was gonna get knocked out, right? And then Ian Cutelaba dropped him. And then Nikita Krylov took him to a split decision. A lot of people forget that. But and that's how good Krylov is. When you look back at it. But for him to dominate Anthony Smith the way he did, and then he had a great win. I wouldn't say it was dominant, but it was a great win over Thiago Santos. I was really impressed. I picked him. I was scared. I thought Thiago was gonna finish him. I was so scared. That second knockdown, it wasn't. It was actually the real first knockdown. My heart sunk. But for him to overcome that, I just was so proud of him. And even though I don't know him, I don't even know why I'm so proud of him. I just was like, man, this guy's he's awesome, and I hope he continues to win and do his thing, and I hope he gets the title shot over Adesanya, which is looking unlikely. And shame on the UFC if they end up doing that, but it is what it is. Next nominee, Brian Ortega, T City. I got a follower that loves this guy, and all respect to him. Brian Ortega, he's all right. I like him. I don't hate him. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way when he was getting a lot of hype leading up to the Max Holloway fight when it was rescheduled. The first time it was scheduled, I felt like Max was the favorite. And then the second time it gets scheduled for Toronto, right, where they were fighting in Canada, right, there was this weird, out of control, this wave of Brian Ortega hype that I just was shocked by. Like, this guy is the next generation of fighting. He's on a different level than everyone else. He's the GOAT, basically. That's what like, what? And then, I picked Max to take his ass out, and Max, basically had a punching bag workout with him. And I know Ortega, I think the judges gave him the third round. He had a pretty good elbow in there, but Max took care of business. He took care of business, and I was really happy for him. But since Ortega took that beating to Max, he came back stronger. I can't even be mad at him. His performance against Korean Zombie, and I picked against him. I thought Korean Zombie was gonna knock him out. I love Korean Zombie. I was shocked. He came out different. The body kicks, I was really impressed with. The spacing, he didn't get into brawls. Like, I feel like that was a thing about Ortega, that he had this survival factor. Like, he could use his toughness and get through bad situations and just win fights that he was really losing, right? And he did it. And I think he got dubbed a slow start. In this fight, he kind of just showed that he can maintain a lead against, obviously I'm talking about Zombie. And he added things to his game, the wrestling feints, even against Zombie in the fourth and third round that he was adding. And he's a complete fighter. He's a very, very scary individual, and a very hard puzzle to figure out. But I think he'll be figured out later. I don't know. I'm still wondering if I'm gonna pick. The Volkanovski fight's gonna be interesting. I will say that. But next nominee, Kevin Holland. I think Kevin Holland, since the Brendan Allen loss, which was in 2019, I'm positive. I could be wrong, but he's just looked, amazing. I know some people, I've seen comments in my video saying he's beat a bunch of nobodies, but I understand that point. I do understand that point. But the progression of talent he's gone through, I think the Charles Ontiveros fight, all right, we throw that out the window. But fighting Anthony Hernandez, Joaquin Buckley, I think Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, I think that's the guy's name, and then Buckley, and fighting Darren Stewart, and then going up to Jacare Souza, right? I got to give the guy credit. He's really, really improved. If you look at all those fights and you look at what his problems were in the Brendan Allen fight, it looks like he's improved, especially if you compare the Darren Stewart fight to the Brendan Allen fight. Can you say Darren Stewart doesn't have Brendan Allen's wrestling? That's true. But Darren Stewart trains with a lot of good wrestlers. He works hard on his wrestling and stuff like that. And he's also improved tremendously, and has some real legitimate submission wins in the company, and has great takedown defense. So, and some people thought Darren Stewart won that fight. So that's also another thing you got to put in perspective. But I thought I was really impressed with the way he dealt with Jacare Souza. Do I think Jacare Souza's washed? I don't know. I think we're gonna really find out in his next fight, or if he has a next fight in the UFC. I don't know. He might get cut. They got 60 cuts. I hope he's not one of them. But Jacare went to a split decision, and I picked Jacare to beat Kevin Holland with the defending champ, Jan Blachowicz. And I think it's hard to say if he's washed. You got to be careful with that word. I don't think it's. I just don't. I think it's unfair. To say that to him after what? I think he's on three. He's on a three. Fight loss streak. But I thought the Hermanson fight was competitive. I didn't think he got destroyed there. I thought Hermanson obviously won, but Jacare won the second and the fifth rounds. He didn't look terrible in that fight. Against Blachowicz, that was kind of boring, but he had a good game plan, and some people thought he won that fight. I know a lot of people said I thought Jacare won it. I thought they both lost. I thought it was just a bad fight in general. And yeah, it is what it is. And then he has. I think personally he got caught by Kevin Holland, and Kevin threw a great shot. But it is what it is. I think Holland has proven a lot. But let's get to the award. And the most improved fighter of the year goes to Kevin Holland. I know some people are gonna be a little mad, but don't worry, I got him in the fight of the year discussion. But I think honestly he deserves this award. I think he's really improved, and I think he's done his thing this year. Being unranked to number 10 in the world. Hey, that's pretty good. That's good improvement, and I can't wait for what he does next. But next, award we're going to get to, Breakout Fighter of the Year. This is a very, very interesting award. Usually Breakout Fighter of the Year, it's kind of like, you can even compare it. It kind of sounds similar to Most Improved Fighter of the Year, right? But for me, I look at it as like Rookie of the Year, kind of thing. But, it is what it is. They say it's Breakout Fighter of the Year. But yeah, let's look at the nominees. At number 1, Kazmat Chimaev, man. How can you not talk about this guy? This guy, you can say whatever you want about his opponents, but skill and the way he's destroying his opponents, he's making his opponents look like cans. What he did to John Phillips is a tough guy. He destroyed him. John doesn't have no fucking takedown defense. It's kind of interesting to see what his opponents have done since the Chimaev loss. So, a young Park had, like, I think broke a record or something like that of significant strikes on the ground against John Phillips. And then, another opponent Chimaev beat, like, the next week, Reese McKee. He kind of got beat up on. Well, it was an entertaining fight, I'll say that. But he kind of got beat up on against Reese McKee. And then you look at and then Gerald Mishar. I think Gerald's his best win. And Gerald, you can say whatever you want about Gerald, but he has some decent so he's competed with some good guys, I'll say that. And he did have he went to split decision with Kevin Holland. He has a win over Deron Wynn, who just won on UFC Vegas 17 card. It depends on how you look at that. But I think in terms of, he's had a crazy year, and now he's ranked number 15 at welterweight, and you look at the followers he got. So I think he's in a good next nominee, Yuri Pazowska, man. This motherfucker right here has been killing it. He only had one fight, but the guy he beat, Volkan Ozdemir, I mean, that motherfucker is. I personally feel like he beat Dominic Reyes, and I know a lot of people are shitting on Dominic Reyes now, which is interesting. I kind of laugh at it, but if you remember, Dominic Reyes was like, from UFC 247 to UFC 253, just from that time period. If you just pay attention to the Twitter and the media and all that crap, this guy was the next GOAT almost, the way people were talking about him and this and that. And he beat John Jones, and he's such an athlete, and he's so athletic, and that it shouldn't be John Jones versus Israel Adesanya. It should be Dominic Reyes versus Adesanya. Like, this was the discussion that we were having, and I just thought it was ridiculous. It was putting on the crown on somebody who hasn't earned the throne. He had a great performance against John, but just because you outwork somebody, let's say you outwork the best guy in the world, doesn't even matter about sports. There will be, like, even basketball, there will be games where the best player gets beaten and outperformed. Doesn't mean the guy that outperformed him is the best player of all time. It's about consistency. And you look at Reyes' fights, yeah, he knocked out Chris Weidman. He looked good against OSP. But, like, you look at the Volkan Ozdemir fight, and I see holes. I see a lot of holes. And even in the John Jones fight, he got tired in the 4th and 5th round. He just outworked him for 3. And, yeah, he won the fight. I do think he won that fight. I'm not going to say he didn't win. I'm not one of these crazy John Jones thinkers. But this guy, I don't think he could have sustained that. And that's why I picked Jan Blachowicz to beat him, and I was so happy Blachowicz knocked his ass out. I thought Blachowicz was going to sub him. I really did. But, it is what it is. But, back to Volkan Ozdemir. I know I just went on a tangent with Dominic Reyes. But, yeah, I thought Volkan beat that guy, And what Volkan has done in the light heavyweight division, beating Alir Latifi, beating Jimmy Manuel, beating Mirsha Serkinov, and I think I'm forgetting somebody. You know what? I ain't gonna lie. He does have a suspect win over Rakic. He did not win that fight, y'all. I'm sorry. But, what he did to Ozdemir, knocking him out like that was impressive. I was shocked how well he just took him out. I was like, wow, like, how did he do that to him? He just destroyed him. And just looking at what he did before in his other fights, I was shocked, because the people he beat, I didn't think that, the people he beat in Ryzen, I didn't think it could, like CB Dalloway and shit like that. I didn't think it would translate to the to the UFC. But I remember one guy in my comments was telling me, "Hey, Brody, that guy is gonna he's gonna destroy Volkan Ozdemir." And I picked Volkan to kill that man, and he proved me wrong. I gotta give him that. He did prove me wrong. But next nominee, Brandon Royval. Royval. Y'all know me. I'm not the biggest fan of Royval, but I have a lot of friends and a lot of followers on Twitter that love this kid, and they love they love him. But you know what he's accomplished this year: beating Tim Elliott on his debut, and then beating fucking what's his face, Kai Kara France. I was shocked. I was impressed. I did not think a guy like that could do that to Tim Elliott, but it is what it is. You can't be too mad at it, but that's life, man. But then my boy Brandon Moreno, he let him know that there's levels to this shit, and you're not going to be the reason I don't fight for a title one day. And I love that. But he did have a breakout year, and he can't be denied, man. He was on the path to maybe winning, or getting a title spot. Like it's kind of crazy, but it is what it is. Next nominee, this one was hard, but I ended up thinking of a good guy, Ilia Topuria. He only had 2 fights this year, but a guy that I think was in running for the spot this year, Yusuf Zalal. Ilia beat him pretty handily with his grappling and looked amazing. And I thought he was a great grappler, but then what he did to Damon Jackson, now that I was happy. Damon Jackson, let me tell you something about this goddamn idiot, right? Jackson beat Musar Bektik. It's all good and well. He got the W. I can't take nothing away from him. He won. I'm not going to be an asshole and say he didn't win the fight. But I don't know what the beef was about with him and Musard, but he ended up submitting Musard and started yelling at his face and talking mess, and he had his little jokes and stuff like that. And I just, it rubbed me the wrong way. Sometimes when you do that, I'm okay with it, and then sometimes it does rub me the wrong way. It's like, man, that's your opponent. You don't have to do all that. But I enjoyed Ilia Topuria putting them body shots in and breaking that man's face in the corner and knocking him out, and then giving him an extra one while he was out. That was awesome, and that pretty much I put him in here just out of respect for that, and he deserved a shout out. He did the world a favor doing that to that fucking idiot. But but let's get to the winner. The breakout fighter of the year has to go to Kazmat Chimaev. As much as I would love to give it anyone else, and y'all know me, y'all know I'm going with Leon Edwards. I'm Team Rocky all day. I can't deny the man's his stardom. I really can, and how the company has gone behind him, and that's what really makes you a breakout fighter. I feel like you're breaking out to the public, and everyone knows about you, and they're talking about this guy the most. Yuri Pazowska has a higher ranking than I don't know. Maybe Brandon Royval is high. Let me check. Actually, ranking. That's right here. Royval is number 6. Yuri's number 5. Okay, so Yuri does have the highest ranking on top of this. But, like, everyone's talking about this Chimaev guy. And Chimaev is going to get an opportunity against the number 3 guy in the world, Leon Edwards. But I think he's going to get a rude awakening when he fights that boy. But it is what it is. Next award submission of the year. I had to add one extra, but I'll talk about it right here. One of the nominees, Jimmy Flicks. Flying triangle over Cody Durden, man. This shit was crazy. I did not like the way he did that. Was insane. I was so shocked when he did that, bro. Like, I picked Flick, but the way he took care of Cody Durden, I was kind of scared, man. Cody had some success in that fight. It wasn't like Cody was just getting dominated. Like, we went for broke, man, and he got it at him. So I'll give him credit for it. But yeah, next nominee. Aljamain Sterling's rear naked choke over Corey Sandhagen. It's a simple rear naked choke, but the way he did that, and the spot and the reason why it was so important was simple, because if Aljamain doesn't win this fight and doesn't take, and actually not even win, if he doesn't destroy Corey Sandhagen, he's kind of stuck in a situation where he might not be the number one contender. I thought Aljamain deserved the title shot when he beat Pedro Munoz. Pedro Munoz at the time had knocked out Cody Garbrandt, who was the number one guy in the world. Before that, Aljamain had beat Jimmy Rivera after Rivera just fought, I think, Dodson or something like that. And before that, he fought Marlon Moraes. And even before that, he had this crazy victory over Cody Sandman. So he was on a pretty good run. And for him to, he was in a worse spot. For him to be set back, I'm not the biggest Aljamain Sterling fan, and I do believe Peter Yan will shut all this Funk Master hype or whatever these little fans have got him behind. He will shut that shit down. I promise you that Russian boy is not to be played with. But we're not here to talk about that. I did think Sterling was getting kind of screwed here. I kind of felt bad for him that the discussion that they were thinking about giving the title shot to Marlon over Aljamain if Marlon beats Corey. I kind of felt bad for him, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, he did it. He got it done. He did it impressively, and for a second, he was the king. I'll give him that. For a second in that bantamweight division, he was the true king, and then a real king emerged in Peter Yan, and he did his thing. But yeah, let's get to it. Next nominee, Irene Lipsky's submission, fucking knee bar over Luliana Carolina. Man, this was brutal. I had to close my eyes first time I seen it. I was like, oh my god. And then seeing the reports about Carolina's, having to miss out the whole rest of this year, and contemplating doing surgery and stuff like that, which was pretty sad to see. But that shit was crazy. And the Lipsky, for a second, she had some hype on her. She had, what was it, the Goddess of War, or some shit like that, the Queen of War. I don't know what they were calling her, but that submission catapulted her to a pretty good spot against what's it called, Antonina Shevchenko. So she did her thing. But yeah, next nominee, Khabib's triangle over Justin Gaethje. This is another triangle I'm adding here. This was a crazy submission, but the moment was even crazier, and the way Khabib did it, and just the person he did it to, and and just the significance of the moment, and just seeing him kind of cry after that was just, Jordan-esque, if I say myself, and just it was awesome. It was awesome to see him, kind of do that for his dad, and kind of win, and take care of business and get out of there, and over a game opponent like Gaethje, as much as Gaethje is he's an interesting guy. He's pissed me off a few times, but as much as as he's pissed me off, I know how good he is. I know how dangerous he is. I don't, even after this fight, I don't think I'm gonna be really picking against him that much. I even if he ends up fighting Michael Chandler, I would like for Michael Chandler to knock him out. Like, I picked Eddie Alvarez to beat Gaethje, and I was so happy when Eddie did. I don't think Chandler can do that. I don't know. It's a stretch, and I think Gaethje's a good opponent, and Khabib's, this really put him in the GOAT status. Like, people really started talking about, like, man, it's crazy. Like, I never heard this, like, Khabib's the GOAT, like, kind of thing after this. Like, he kind of established himself as, I guess the greatest lightweight of all time, man, with this submission, and I think that's what makes I have to put it in contention. But next up, Jack Hermansson's heel hook finish over Kelvin Gastelum. This was crazy. I'm sorry, this was insanity, bro. Jack Hermansson in my last video I made for 2019 was also in contention for like the guillotine choke he had over David Branch, but this submission, not only it was way better than the David Branch submission because of where it put Hermansson. He did this to a guy that had, I guess, the closest and most competitive fight with the champ Adesanya, and he was in a bad spot. He was coming off the loss to Cannonier. He got knocked out in his hometown, I think, or it might not be his hometown, but it is what it is. And he submitted that motherfucker, man. Even though Kelvin, he went retarded for like 3 seconds because he took him down. he took care of fucking business, and you can't take nothing away from that guy, man. I can't even be mad at him for doing that, and it put him in a really good spot. But let's get to the winner. The winner of the submission of the year goes to Jack Hermanson. This was tough, but Hermanson was in contention for last year's. I forgot who did I give it last year. I forgot who I gave it to. But he was in contention though, I remember, and I was like, fuck, I should have gave it to him. And I was like, he deserves it. The heel hook finish, it was awesome, But it is what it is. But let's get to knockout of the year. This one this one's hard. This one's I know there's the obvious one, right? But I feel like there's some pretty good ones that I actually preferred. But let's talk about number 4, Sean O'Malley's KO over Eddie Wineland. This was just evil. Like, it was like he just threw the cross. Like, it was like, something you see on fucking UFC 4 or some shit. You throw the cross, you hit the opponent just falls back. I felt bad for Eddie, and he got smoked. He got smoked, y'all, and I felt bad for my guy. But it is what it is. Sean looked. Even this KO put him in a spot where, like, people were talking about him as if he's, is he championship status? Like, people were really talking about this kid after that. And, obviously, Cheeto Vera, he kind of ended all that hype. But, his career is not over, so he still got time. Next one, Cody Garbrandt's KO over Rafael Assunção. See, this one was winning the whole... this one was like my KO of the year for a majority of the year. And, I was so super, super impressed with it. Just the way Garbrandt did it. And then he was coming off a 3-fight losing streak. And just the timing and how beautiful it looked. It was awesome. He killed Assunção. Like, I felt bad for Assunção, the way he did. It was a buzzer beater KO. Like, I can't even say nothing else about it. And then Chaos Williams KO over Abdul Razak Hassan. It's not Chaos. It's Colin. I'm not calling him Colin until he wins his next fight, man. Or I'm not calling him Chaos until he wins his next fight. This guy's man. What he did to Pierre was shameful. But it is what it is. And some people are calling that a robbery. Like, come on, y'all, man, grow up. But this was crazy. What Colin did to Abdul, I feel bad for Abdul. I hope they run that back. Abdul deserves that, man. Like, if y'all see, this KO was so bad to Abdul. Go look at his Instagram and see what he posted. This man literally said, I had the worst year of my life. Like, oh, man, my heart. I really, like, usually this is the game. Like, you kind of get desensitized to knockouts and how knockouts can impact somebody's life, right? Like, you're like, all right, it's the fight game. They're fighters. They chose this life. If they get knocked out, they'll get back up and brush it off. But, like, this is their life, and, for Abdul to make that post, it hurt my soul, man. And he also went through a lot of stuff this year, and I think he just wanted to win. Him losing to Laziz Manor, also, like, that hurt him. And I felt bad for Abdul. Like, yeah, I really did feel bad for him that he lost to Colin like that, and how Colin has ended up. And I'm just mad I didn't pick Pierre. That's why I'm mad. I was like, I should have picked him. I should have picked him. But next up, obviously, y'all know what I'm about to say. Joaquin Buckley's KO over Impa Kasanganay. That was crazy. Like, what he did to Impa. That's sick, man. Like, I feel bad for Impa, man. And Buckley, he's on a good spot. Like, I don't know where. I don't think he's ever going to be a champion. I don't know if he's even going to get ranked. But he got power. I'll give him that. And the way he's able to kill these guys like that, I'm just impressed, man. I can't even. You have to be, to a certain extent, impressed. But y'all know what I'm about to say. Knockout of the year it has to go to Joaquin Buckley over Impa Sangane. The way he just spin and hit that heel to that man's face, and then Impa's reaction. Impa was dead. Like that was a dead man, and I felt bad for Impa. I did pick Impa, and it's kind of crazy. Like Buckley got knocked out by Holland like not too long ago, and for him to come back and get it done and brush that knockout off and make people almost forget that he got knocked out by Holland, it was pretty good. Got to give him credit for it. Next up, pay-per-view of the year. See, this one, I might piss some people off. I don't know why, but I might really piss some people off with who I'm going to go with. But I'll give you guys my nominees. Number 4, UFC 254. This was a great show. Let me look at it. I kind of slightly remember it. But it had, you had the two really good high-level fights in Khabib versus Gaethje and Robert Whittaker versus Jared Cannonier. Those were good fights. I thought it was a good card. What else was on this card? I remember Ian Cutelaba getting finished by Ankalaev. Then you have Volkov versus Walt Harris. Phyllis Halls versus Jacob McQuan. Well, it doesn't matter. Phil got it done quick. He took him out. Lauren Murphy versus that one girl, Leah Shakarov. She took her out. I know there were better fights on this card. Yeah, Stefan Struve versus Tai Tuivasa. Nathaniel Woods versus Casey Kenney. This was a awesome fight. Alex Oliveira versus Shavat Rachmanov. This Rachmanov kid is a killer, man. The Jung versus Sam Ali fight ended up being a draw. I know there was you had Joel Alvarez and stuff like that. And it was a really awesome card. It was fun. It was quick. It was so weird how good card it was. And then next nominee, UFC 251. This was, I know some people like, oh, this card sucked, and but it was the first Fight Island card, I think, right? Yeah, Fight Island card of the year, and I thought it delivered. Every fight was awesome, especially that main card, man. You can't even be mad at the main card, like, dude, man, that main card. Let's look at the early prelims. They had Martin Day versus Davey Grant. This was a great fight. I remember this. Yeah, this was an awesome fight. You had, Tybor versus Maxim Grishin. Volkan Ozdemir getting knocked out by Yuri. Zaleski Dos Santos. I thought Zaleski beat Muslim Salikov, but that was an awesome fight. Makwan Amirkhani's submission over Danny Henry. That was great. And then just the main card was solid. I thought the main event kind of, shit the bag, but it was an awesome card. You can't even be mad at it. Volkanovski versus Holloway. I know this was, it was controversial, but it was a fun fight. You can't deny it wasn't a fun fight. Peter Yan versus Aldo was awesome for the first 4 rounds, and then the beating was sad. Jessica Andrade versus Rosa Nunez was just fireworks. Amanda Ribas beating Paige Van Zandt was quick. I will say that. And I know people shitted on this main event, and it's not a fun fight. But I picked Usman, and I ain't gonna lie, I enjoyed Usman winning and derailing the Jorge Masvidal little, dream, whatever. People were on some craziness. But I know people don't like Usman, and I'm not the biggest fan of him, but you got to respect him to a certain extent. Then you got so a lot of people are dubbing this next one I'm about to say 256 as the best pay-per-view of the year. I thought it was a great show. I really did. It was an awesome card. It had a great fight on there, but I don't think it was the best card of the year. I'm just sorry, but if you look at this card, you had Moreno versus Figueiredo, which was an awesome fight. Charles versus Tony, Mackenzie Dern versus Verna, Kevin Holland versus Souza, Gain versus Dos Santos, Cub Swanson versus Pineda, the Fiziev fight versus Mocanho. These were great fights, but I didn't think it was the best card of the year. But next up, the real, and I hope I really don't piss people off by saying this. I don't know why. This was the best card of the year. UFC 249. I guess I'm spoiling it. This is, I will say it right now, this is the winner of the best card of the year. Do not argue with me. You will look stupid. Look at this. All right. Ryan Spawn versus Sam Alvey. Ryan Spawn's he's whatever you want to say. He's a ranked light heavyweight, and he's opening up the card. Come on now. Bryce Mitchell versus Charles Rosa. This was impressive. Now look at this prelims. All right, it's Vicente Luque versus Nico Price. Carla Esparza versus Michelle Watterson. Oleinik versus Verdun. Pettis versus Cerrone. This is a main card of a fight night already. You've lost. If you're really arguing with me, UFC 250, you lost already. You're a loser. I've won. Now let's look at the main card. I will continue to defeat you. Right? Look at this. Now, Greg Hardy versus Jorgen De Castro does not help my point. But it's a decent heavyweight fight. Jeremy Stephens versus Calvin Kattar. You've lost. Jairzinho versus Ngannou. You've lost. Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz. Title fight. You lost again. And Gaethje versus Ferguson. Title fight. You lost again. I'm a winner. I don't want to hear. No, if I see any comments telling me I'm crazy, I really did see people say UFC 256 was the best card of the year. I think recency bias affects people's opinions sometimes, but no, 249. It was a GOAT card, man. What's wrong with y'all? Y'all tripping, man. Y'all smoking crack, straight up. But let's get to this one. This one I'm gonna piss people off. This one I'm probably gonna piss people off because it doesn't matter. Fight of the year. Let's get to it. You start off with number 4, Shane Burgos versus Josh Emmett. This was a phenomenal card. I mean, not phenomenal card. I mean, I got my head in the pay-per-view stuff. This was a phenomenal fight. I thought it was greatness watching this. And Shane's toughness and Emmett's ability to hit that overhand. They were going at it. They were back and forth, and it was awesome. It was just a great fight. Number 3, I got Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker. This was an awesome fight, man. These boys went to war. They went to war, man, and it was crazy how well Dan Hooker was doing, and then how Dustin caught his second win and was putting it on Hooker, and just really hurt him bad. And at the end, Hooker was dead. And that's my boy, man. I love him, but Dustin got him, man. It's crazy how much damage he put on Hooker, and it just was nuts. And how much shots Hooker took to the face was crazy. But next up, you got Weili Zhang versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. This was a banger, and it's so crazy how so many people doubted Joanna and thought she was just gonna go out there and get knocked out like she was a nobody. Like she didn't lose to Valentina Shevchenko and fucking Rose Namajunas. And I thought the second fight with Rose was close. Y'all was acting like some fags, man. I'm sorry. I gotta stop saying that. But y'all was acting weird, man. Like I was so mad. Like and I had nothing against Zhang, and I had some people, some Zhang, I guess, defenders in my comment section. I don't hate the girl, but I do think she's a little bit of she's a protected, fighter, and I think they want to see her succeed. I think they want to have her hold the belt for a long time. I think that's what they want. It depends on, I guess it's her star appeal, it is what it is. But this was a banger. These girls did not stop. They were just non-stop action from round 1 to 5. They were just at it. So, I got to give those girls credit for that. And next up, Deiveson Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno. This was awesome. This was greatness, and this, to me, stamped that the flyweight division is here to stay. It was an awesome fight, and all these fights were great. Let me just say that all these fights were great, and they all low-key for 1 month had a claim to be fight of the year. Same thing with Joanna, same thing with Poirier, same thing with Deiveson Figueiredo versus Moreno. All these fights had their own claim, but there only has to be one. And the fight of the year for the eBay Fight Predictions Award show goes to Deiveson Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno. I know some people are gonna kill me for this. For a long time, I thought Joanna and versus Zhang, that was the fight of the year, right? Poirier versus Hooker came close. Burgos and Emmett came close, but I thought Wailing and Joanna, like the action, there was no rest with those girls. Those girls were going at it, right? But what makes, I feel like, a great fight was the drama, you know? Davison Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno. You look before, right? No one thought those guys were going to have that fight. Even though Moreno, and for some odd reason, man, the disrespect Moreno got in the lead up was insane. I had kids, I had just one dude in my comment section tell me straight up, man, I think he got so pissed off by the Moreno, or I guess the Figueiredo hype, that he just was like, man, fuck this shit. I'm going Moreno. Moreno's going to win this fight, right? And people, I just saw like this fucking, I didn't even finish reading. I was done. I was like, I can't read this. They were just going back and forth about Moreno and Figueiredo and stuff like that. And that's what made this fight so great, was because, like, is Moreno the hardest challenge? And yeah, he is. He should have been. And or is Figueiredo just a god and nobody can do anything about him? We found out, like, you know, Figueiredo, I love the guy, but he's more of a bad guy than a good guy. He dresses up. He calls himself the god of war. He's almost like a fashionista, right? And he knocks you out. The guy is, he's too cool for school, right? And Moreno is this humble guy, that, just he wants to win for his family. He's just a fighter at heart, and he's a cool, nice, to himself. He's a very respectful kind of guy, and you could just see Davison wanted to destroy this guy, And Davison said it before. It's like, this guy wants to take everything I've worked for, and I will destroy him. And you could see that in the first round, that was not a competitive round, right? And then in the second, Moreno does his thing with the takedowns, and I think Figueiredo's like, oh shit, I'm in a fight. And then the low blow. Well, there was an eye poke before. Then the low blow. And then you seen the drama, right? And then you started seeing people diverge and kind of leave Figueiredo's side, right? And they go to Moreno, and they see this humble guy, this hardworking guy that's just getting almost like cheated, right? And it just seems unfair. He got kicked in the nuts and stuff like that. And this is not fair, right? And then Moreno, with that Mexican toughness, said, I'm not going to give up. This low blow is not going to be the reason I lose. And for some people, that low blow, in my humble opinion, made people think Moreno won that fight. But what Moreno did in the fourth round to hurt Davison like that and have him fucking doing the chicken dance, I was impressed, man, in his toughness and his heart. And then the fifth round, I thought Davison did his thing, and it just was this just back and forth, and this protagonist versus antagonist kind of dynamic to it. And I can't wait for those guys to end up fighting in the rematch. It's going to be awesome. It's just, how can you hate Moreno? I get it. If you hate Figueiredo because you think he's a cheater, that's dope, man. I don't think he should be loved. I didn't get, why people were loving Figueiredo. I was just like, man, this guy's a bully, man. He's stone cold, man. But, I just got to go with Figueiredo versus Moreno. I watched that fight twice, man. I watched all these fights again, but that one, right after I watched it the first time, I watched it again, and then I watched it again for this show. So I watched it 3 times, basically. And that fight is just, it's just so back and forth, right? There's just levels to it. It feels like it's a storyline almost in that fight. You can really see it. None of these have that. Davison versus Moreno had something to it where somebody had to overcome something, and then even Figueiredo had to show his championship grit in the 5th round, and he had to tough it out and almost prove the naysayers that I can go 5 rounds, and he did his thing. But next we got to get this rolling a little quicker because we're goddamn almost 40 minutes or some shit like that. Next award. Female Fighter of the Year. This one, I'm going to keep this quick. I'm going to say with the nominees: Amanda Nunes at 1, Valentina Shevchenko at 2, and number 3, Weili Zhang. I just went with all the female champions. All girls had a decent year. Weili Zhang had, the fight with Joanna, and that's it. Amanda had her fight with Felicia Smith. She was supposed to fight Megan Anderson. I'm thinking, did Amanda fight before that in 2020? No, she didn't. She fought Jermaine after that. Yeah, that was UFC 245, I think. That was in December. And Valentina Shevchenko had 2 fights this year. Um, she fought, what's her name? Caitlin Chukagian and Jennifer Mai. I almost forgot. And I gave it to Valentina last year based on activity and I guess opponents, but I'm not gonna give it to Weili Zhang. I'm sorry, I'm not, and I'm gonna give it to Valentina Shevchenko. I think activity and her defending her title, and she's you can say whatever you want to say about the competition at flyweight, but don't worry, Jessica Andrade is coming. So Valentina Shevchenko fans, be ready. But your girl won it this year. I gave it to her, so just be happy. But Andrade is coming for everything that girl has worked for. She's coming to kill her. I'm just saying that. But next award, Male Fighter of the Year. This one was interesting. I thought this one was, even though some people have their number one pick already, I thought this was interesting. At number one, Davison Figueiredo. How can I not add this guy? Having fucking 4 fights this year, and then having a fight of the year contender. I know he missed weight, but what he did to Joseph Benavidez and Alex Perez, and then having that back and forth war, and then doing what he did in the 5th round and proving the naysayers wrong, saying that he can compete. I'm not gonna say naysayers, proving me wrong, because I even said he had a cardio problem. Wrong. He deserves to be a nominee. Next up, Israel Adesanya. I'm not gonna say what I was thinking about saying, but as much as I dislike this cat, he did his thing this year. Beating Costa and Yoel Romero, 2 guys that the year before in 2019, to some people had their fight of the year, and 2 behemoths, destroyed them. He didn't just not destroy. Whatever. I'm in the minority, but I thought Yoel won that fight against Adesanya. But no one really won. Either it was Yoel won or it was just a draw. Like, no one really won. But in that case, give it to the champion, I guess. But Adesanya beat him and beat Costa. He looked pretty good. He's in discussion. But right, number 3, next nominee, Jan Blachowicz. Man, this guy, I love this guy, man. I'm not gonna act like I was a fan of him in the beginning. I owe this guy a lot, basically. I kind of owe my fucking channel, man. I do the reaction to him and to him beating Dominic Reyes, and that's the most viewed video on my channel. So, I might just give him the award based on that. But what he did to Corey Anderson and Dominic Reyes, now, I'm not gonna lie. I picked against Blachowicz. I learned my lesson, right? I picked him against, I picked against him against Luke Rockhold. I thought Luke was going to beat him. I thought Jacare was going to beat him. And I thought Corey was going to beat him. And each time I was like, oh shit, he's good. But I was like, he's not that good. Then Jacare, I was like, he's trash, man. He's not that good. And then for what he did to Corey, and Corey's chinny, but Corey did have a win over him. And what he did to Corey, that was sick. That wasn't even cool, man. That was not cool what he did to Corey, bro. That broke my heart for Corey, and he took everything from Corey. He took the title contention. He took the hype that Corey got from beating Johnny Walker. He took everything from him, man. He destroyed him. He destroyed him with one punch. So then I learned my lesson after those three whoopings from Blachowicz, and I was like, you know what? The Polish power is real. And I was like, he's going to knock out Dominic Reyes. I was convinced he was going to knock him out. I wasn't convinced. What am I talking? I thought he was going to sub him. I was convinced he was going to sub him. Because I look at the Nikita Krylov finish. And then I started really looking at what he's accomplished at light heavyweight. He has a pretty good, record at light heavyweight, if I'm being honest. Yeah, he really has accomplished a lot. But, and that was so awesome. Him destroying Reyes and the hype. Just the Reyes hype little train that he had after losing to John Jones. He didn't lose. I'm just playing. But just after that, and it just was silent. No more. And I loved it when people were criticizing him too. I was just like, oh man, the world is perfect now. People were making fun of Reyes. I was like, man, now the world is normal, and no one is praising this guy like he's the god of among men or whatever. But it is what it is. But number 4, Kevin Holland, man, I had to add him here. having 5 fights this year, killing it, doing what he did to Jacare Souza, a guy I have a lot of respect for. So, I had to add him in here. But the male fighter of the year, it has to go to one guy. And as much as these guys deserve it and all of them have, made a really good case for themselves, I got to go Deiveson Figueiredo. What Figueiredo has done this year, it's just been phenomenal. And as much as I love Cejudo and I give him the credit for saving the flyweight division, Deiveson, he really saved the flyweight division. I'm sorry. Like, I seen this one tweet. They say Cejudo is the guy that, that saved the division, and Deiveson Figueiredo is really the man that saved the division. I thought it was kind of funny. But what he did this year was awesome. And, I've already talked about it, the 4 fights and the fight of the year contender. The man has, like, basically 2 awards for me. He just killed it, man. And, it is what it is, but, this is the end of this video, but I want to give a shout out to everybody, and just this year in particular. I know a lot of people, it's been a bad year for a lot of people. Even personally for me, I've lost homies, I've lost friends, that have lost their lives this year. Now, for me personally, nothing bad has happened to me. I've stayed safe. I've, maintained a job. I've been able to live in this, decent apartment, and life has been good. For me, and honestly, I was bored, I was, going to school on this fucking computer was just boring, and I was like, I watch the UFC a lot. I feel like I have a competent, information on it, and I do my studying on it because, I love the sport, but I wasn't confident, right? I did these videos, and I don't know, I wasn't really confident, and, I watched guys like Ali fight predictions, right? And, he hasn't made a video recently, but he was an awesome inspiration. And I asked him in my comment, I don't know if he still remembers this, but I asked him in my comment section, for some tips and stuff like that. And he was like, yeah, just keep doing it. And then this one guy, Fight Game Pro, I didn't even know him at the time, and he had a decent channel, really big channel, and I only had like 20 subscribers. And he comes up in my comment section just giving me advice and, telling me this and that. And it's just a humbling experience to have people, help you out like that. And I just want to give thanks to those guys really for this year. And, from starting from 20 to getting to, 300, or I think 315, I got to give thanks to you guys. And it's just such an awesome thing because, I don't do this for the money. There's, not a lot of people make money off, unless I'm, asking for donations, but I don't think I'm ever going to ask for that. But I love doing this, I do it for the love of the sport, and I feel like I'm going to do this for a long time, probably. I really do. And, I do really appreciate y'all, and I appreciate everything y'all have done for me. And, I hope you guys, like, comment and enjoy this video. I'm doing this kind of late. It's fucking, like 1 o'clock in the morning right now. Just got out of work. So I did this for y'all. Like I said, like, comment, share, go click the notification button. Also, another shout out, I forgot to mention his name, Capper Comparisons. That's another guy, that's put me on his channel and, showed my picks to everybody. Awesome experience. Kendall Behrman, that's another awesome commenter. Homewrecker Knee, another good guy. There's a lot of people I haven't messaged, SSG and TJ Killa and did I say? I probably already said Homewrecker Knee, right? I hope I did say Homewrecker Knee, or if I'm saying it right now, I'm saying it right now. Like this one, man, I want to give shout outs to everyone now. I gotta give a shout out to everybody. Is this cat? Let me find him. Velusta, I think Vladsta or whatever. He's always been super supportive of the channel and stuff like that. So I tried to give everyone Overeem's son. He's been killing it. Just all the support, and I appreciate everything you guys have done for me. And love y'all, and goodbye. And see y'all. Still follow me on my Twitter and my Instagram. And now goodbye.